Hello, everybody. It is Saturday, the 7th of August, 2021, 3 something in the afternoon, somewhere around there. My name is beau-hindman. If you are listening to this now, yes, I used to be a games channel. Now I'm doing toys. So I appreciate you checking it out. And I'm not sure if I'm going to call this podcast Who Wants Toys or Who Likes Toys. And I'm trying to figure it out. Maybe I'll put up a poll or something. You know what I'll do is I'll ask my wife. She's always smarter than me. And today we have a really cool first guest for my first show. And Ryan, let me know if I mispronounce this, but it's Ryan Magnon. Magnon.
That's that's great. I've been using Magnon lately, but my whole life it was Magnin. So
Oh, I was gonna say
it's
is
easier. Yeah,
okay.
when I tell people Magnin, they kind of like think Magnum, like Magnum PI. So Magnon makes it
Uh,
more clear.
Now
Yeah.
you just aged us both, by the way, by mention. You're younger than me. You look like it. So Magnum PI was a show from the '80s with. Look it up, Google it. It's great.
With the mustache.
What was the
The
guy's name?
show with
It was the helper guy, the little turtle guy.
Oh man, I don't remember his name.
I can't remember. Anyway,
Bosley? No, that was from something else.
but anyway, I like I was thinking this just before we started recording, seeing your last name, and we're going to talk about Ryan's amazing toy line here in a minute. If you haven't seen me, his line is one of the 12 lines that I collect. And there's a good reason for that. It's quality stuff. But I was thinking Magnon, if you pronounced it that way, would be a cool hero name for one of your characters.
Oh,
So
that's
you
cool. I mean,
you
if I do that though, then people are going to be like, "Oh, this guy's ego," you
What are
know?
you talking about? Of course it's ego. It's your toy line. Okay, so let's talk about it. I get this confused a bit because I'm kind of dumb. Alternation is the line, and it's
Alternation are the toys.
okay.
Company's called PANDA MONY.
Again, cool
We
name.
get that a lot. Our plan originally was to have multiple toy lines, not just alternation. And somewhere along the way, I don't know, somewhere along 2020, we got a little sidetracked with something, and we haven't been able to bring that second brand out yet.
Okay.
So that's kind of what this Kickstarter is about, is to kind of prove that the world wants new toys, and we're here to bring them. New toys specifically that could hit the kids aisle as well, because there's been a lot of great action figures for collectors, um, but not as many that are rated, 3 plus, ages
Yeah.
3 and up, that are,
Yeah.
past all those safety testing requirements.
Oh, wow, that's a good question. I didn't even think about. Thank you for doing my job for me. That like the safety thing. Okay, we'll talk about it, but I'm gonna have this is just gonna be an audio podcast. So there's no video, so I'm gonna have what I'm looking at by right now. You might see me on my screen. I'm just capturing my screen because I'm at the Kickstarter, and we'll get into that in a minute. But basically, the line is that's your. I want to go to the toy line.
Okay, well, you can, for our listeners, the toy line can be found at alternation.toys,
That's what I
not
was.
.com, but .toys, and I'm always
That's
good
it.
to. Don't worry, I will always interject to shamelessly plug a website
Well, I
as
went to
well
the
as
PandyMony
good offer.
homepage, not the toy page, but
Ah,
I'll
well,
show you.
basically alternation.toys redirects there anyway.
Okay,
So
when you look at these toys, a lot of people, if you, because a lot of people our age group. Well, I'm 47, so I'm older than you probably, right? I'm sure I am. But
yeah, you got 7 years on me.
oh
Yeah,
wow, okay, good. I thought so.
not too far apart. Yeah.
But I specifically grew up, and you as well grew up in the '80s, and well, you didn't grow up in the '80s, but you definitely had that time period going on. Um,
Yeah. Late
but
80s is when I started getting into action figures. Yeah.
yeah, and it's how would you describe what you're trying to create here? To me, I tell people it's like an '80s toy as far as design concept, like not concept, what you want to do
Like
with it.
sensibilities.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sensibilities, but with modern technology, better articulation. You're unabashedly giving like play features, which is so crazy. I don't even see those anymore. You do kind of, but so how would you describe what you're doing with the toy line?
I, you did a pretty good job. You
Okay.
kind of hit the nail on the head.
Oh,
Was
good.
just that, yeah, we wanted to create all that kind of modern. Kids are used to more articulation than we had. I think you and I probably both had just 5 points of articulation on most of our toys.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Most.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then so yeah, I think today's kids are more interested in more articulation than that. They can kind of recognize a cheap toy.
Yeah.
So we kind of wanted to really get in that same wheelhouse as WWE's toys
Oh, okay,
and
yeah.
Marvel Legends. But then we didn't want that. We added a play feature, and we didn't want that to interfere with that articulation too much. So you're still getting at least a dozen points of articulation on all the figures,
Yeah.
but we also took an animal-inspired play feature because the toys themselves are part animal, part human soldiers. So each one has like a real animal ability. Not animal inspired is the best way
Yeah.
to say it. 'Cause we didn't actually grab animals and interject their body parts into this.
Oh, darn, that would
But
have been kind of cool, but I know what you
well,
mean.
unless I don't know. Maybe that's where oil comes from. I don't know. They are made out of plastic anyway. But yeah, so there's a porcupine character. He shoots out
Yeah,
quills.
he's so cool.
Yeah, thank you. Who else we got? We got a chameleon that changes color. We got a dart frog that does a backflip.
Yeah, Dart. Would you say Dart's I'm just guessing, is one of your most popular characters?
I think. Been a while since I looked at that. It's definitely Dart, El Rey, and
Okay.
I'd say Sabotage
Yeah,
is
Sab.
another
Oh man,
top one.
every time when I think about the Dart is probably my favorite. It's the first one I saw, and I remember you. I guess you put it up on an ad or something. I don't know how I came across it. I really don't. Maybe another YouTube channel, and I was like, okay, that's ridiculously cool looking. He looks like what you did with Dart is you designed a frog-like humanoid mix. And I'm showing the pictures here on the screen so they'll see this. But if you're not watching and you're just listening to this in the background or download it or whatever, cool. But it's like a frog, a poison dart frog mixed with a human, but that you've extended the arms and the legs to give them a human-like quality. But he's also kind of hunched over like it makes perfect sense, even though it doesn't make sense. If that makes sense.
I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you acknowledging all that. We did kind of want with the long arms. Just kind of, I'm really into as a designer. I didn't personally design these. I don't want to steal credit from our great concept artists, but I really push them to push weird shapes. Like, don't
Oh,
just kind of don't just do everything normal like what we've seen 100 times. Like, try to
yeah,
make a cool looking silhouette. And then yeah, when I saw we had a couple designers that came in with this idea of really long arms for since they're part animal, and because since animals themselves kind of tend to have their arms and legs are kind of the same length, when you look
yeah,
at a cat or something. Um, so there was that, and then the other thing you kind of touched on, when people get a chance to look at Dart really closely, you'll see some of his human features coming through. You look at his fingertips or
yeah,
his toenails. He still has toenails and stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we really did want to see like, oh, like there's these little Easter eggs in there when you look closely that there's the human, there's the frog, and for somebody like Quilroy who has four animals in one, you'll see he's got bat ears, he's got rhino skin,
Yeah.
porcupine quills, yeah, just all over the place. It was
Yeah,
a lot of fun.
the quills are fantastic. I knew as soon as I got it, I was remember going, oh yeah, I think he's going to shoot these out somehow, but I couldn't tell how. And then I think on my video it accidentally shot out, and I was like, oh, it was just a cool one of those cool little moments that I hadn't had forever. It's very few because as an adult collector, I guess you'd say we get a lot of toys, but we're not necessarily playing war with them and stuff. We're posing them and playing with them, like messing with them. But we're not a kid where you slap them against each other and break them and stuff.
Yeah.
You don't get that same kind of tactile response to toys maybe as a kid you did as a kid. But what's cool about these is you get that and you're like, oh, that's so weird. Like I haven't felt that since I was 12 or something. It's a hard
That's
thing
great to hear.
Yeah. So
I mean, I worked on them, so I don't get to like have that feeling. It's
yeah.
like, oh, I put that in there. How am I going to be surprised by it, kind of thing? But so that's why it's great to hear people give that kind of feedback.
Well, I'm curious. Have you? So you have concept artists. You put the designs together. You're kind of like the director of the movie. Would that be an accurate description?
I think so. Yeah, I just kind of like the quarterback, on the team, just seeing where all the pieces
Okay.
fit, and what I can't really say that it's anybody's like one person. I mean, there's
Yeah.
no like there were so many people that had so much input, and the kids themselves directed us as well. We
Well, you
talked
had
a
like
lot.
play tests and stuff.
Yeah, we
That's so cool.
absolutely had tests with kids telling us about the concept
Oh,
art that we had, and like just different story elements, because we created a ton of more characters that never saw the light of day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we would just talk to kids about like what, like of course the play features went in there, but just what kind of animals do you like? Do you like this character versus these characters?
Yeah, see, I'm fascinated by that, hearing you say that, because you're an adult making toys that are obviously cool for kids, but you're also aware of and are probably ensconced a bit, if that's the right word, embedded a bit in the adult toy market. So you're towing all these different lines, which is maybe what, as an adult toy person, enjoyer of toys, and as a in a deeper way, I see them as kind of artifacts of humanity, and it's a really unique item. So you're doing all that. I don't know how. Maybe that's what I noticed is different about them, is that you're trying to make something that a kid would actually like. Because in some ways, the designs remind me of almost if a kid literally said, "Then give him a big arm with a robot arm, and make him a." Do you know what I mean? It has that weird mix, but it all goes together very well. So it's some designs. You had an idea of what. Now, had you ever made a toy line or been involved in toys at all?
Not at all. No, not a bit. That's it. There was a lot of just my attitude going into it was kind of just learning about product design and just
Really?
having a love for toys. Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Oh, sorry,
so
that was
yeah,
my Alexa went off. Sorry.
oh no, I didn't even hear it.
We have cameras on the front. Sorry, and she's telling me. So thank you for that, lady in the box. But I'm doing something.
Yeah.
So you had to teach yourself all that.
I did, yeah.
Wow.
I kind of went into it really ambitiously and just kind of, I just really, I take that back. I did get it. I was really trying to create a career in character design for a long time and
Oh,
animation,
okay.
and so it wasn't totally out of left field, as where I didn't know anything about where to start. But I didn't have any toy design experience, and I didn't have any product design experience. So that I took and I've always just relied on myself, as I'm a fairly intelligent guy,
Yeah.
and I learn quickly. So I just kind of set out to do it and let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah, and
Really.
that's one of the interesting things I noticed from some of the. I love independent toys because I think that's where a lot of the innovation, of course, comes from, just like in music or movies or whatever. And I also collect I Am Elemental, the toy line. Their 4-inch female
I know.
character. Yeah, and what's interesting is
I know, Julie.
yeah, that's cool. And she's kind of doing a completely different thing than you. Her line has got a similar look and feel in the way that, like, oh, I don't know, maybe the Ninja Turtle or something had a similar thing and almost similar gimmicks, or GI Joe maybe, where each character was kind
Yeah.
of the same character repaints, but there was more to it, of course. And I think she was saying on her Instagram the other day that she had to teach herself and learn all about that as well. So
Yeah.
what was
No, I
it?
think she's actually a lawyer by trade,
Oh,
if I
see, I was
remember.
I was hoping you were gonna say something like that. Like, I came from finance, and because you got the hair, and and I'm like, that would be so cool if your before pictures were like you in a suit, and you know.
Yeah, no, there's pictures out there of me in a suit. And
Oh,
yeah, I
okay, oh,
did
good,
great
okay.
for the. But when I went out on my own, I'm like, no, I'm gonna dress how I want, and I'm not like answering to anybody else.
Well,
I don't have
you
to.
guys and girls and others who are listening, if you don't see the video or whatever, I was looking at I think the you go to their website, the alternate Panda Money Toy Lines, and I think you're on there. The picture I was looking at, I was like, yeah, he just looks like a cool dude who's like you'd see in a comic
Oh,
shop or whatever. And then he's like, you would never know. And then you ask, hey, do you happen to make a toy line? And you would answer yes, and the other person would probably be like, that makes sense. Because
I
you're
get that a lot.
yeah, your personality is in there. I'm looking at Albert right now, and Albert I haven't opened yet, I don't think, because I've been going through this stage where I want to keep maybe one or two unopened on the little shelf, the rest of them open. Is Albert mixed with where's the horns come from?
He's part bull and monkey and
Okay,
human.
see, that makes complete sense if you're insane, but somehow it works. It really, really
Yeah,
works.
it's fine.
Yeah.
He's our only character that can plausibly pass as a human. So
Oh, right.
what we did in a story was put him in a Vikings jersey, and he just looks like an insane football fan.
And what's funny is, and if you don't know this, you haven't paid for one of these toys, and you should. because as you're seeing, as I'm looking around the screen, or you're seeing the pricing is, and I'll ask you about that. They each come with a mini comic. The comic book alone is a pretty fancy deal. Was that a planned thing for the? You get a mini comic with each toy. Was that a planned thing from the beginning, or did that come later in the process?
I don't know exactly where it came in, but it came in at when we realized, uh, well, not so much realized, but just recognized the fact that toys sell because the action figures sell because of the story more than the gimmick. Like,
Oh, really? Okay.
yeah,
Oh,
so
wow.
we kind of didn't want just kids to pick up this thing and say, "Where's it from?"
Ah,
So you get a little the each comic book kind of showcased the character's personality, their weapons, and their gimmick, and then also fit into an overarching story with the other mini comics. So
but
there
they're
would be a
not.
drive to
I
collect them
asked
all.
because they're nothing to sniff at. They're a high quality comic. They could be I could see that for sale. Somewhere. They're not just a. You know how He-Man came with mini comics, right? I didn't know if maybe you're nodding a bit to that kind of thing.
We did, yeah.
Yeah.
He-Man and Superpowers both took
Oh,
stole that
really? I didn't
idea
know
from.
that. I wasn't a
Yeah,
He-Man
I
guy
think.
myself. I hated He-Man when I was a kid, but
Well, that's. I think we even have the same dimensions as one or the other. I'm not sure.
oh, really? Okay, okay.
Yeah, we stole the idea and the specs. So
Well, I
not
mean,
that anybody, you know,
comic books
not that anybody's gonna get mad at us.
were around since what 32 or something, so you didn't
Yeah.
steal it. But I'm just telling people too, though, that you could have ran the line, you could have released a line in the way that a lot of people release a toy that just looks cool or whatever, and they don't really. I collect a lot of these toys where there's not much lore put out about them, or it's hard to get their lore because they're in Chinese or Korean or something I don't know, or Japanese and I don't know what it is. But
Yeah.
you could have released that, but your characters are so detailed. They have so many little things going on. They could tell their own story. They could allow the kid or the collector to kind of fill in their own story, but there was something there. So I was,
That's interesting. No, that's good to hear. I mean, we kind of got a lot of cynics from being in the toy industry. Was kind of like snotty people telling us, "Well, you can't, you can't make a action figure line without without having a show on the
yeah,
air
and
for a year." Or, you know what I mean?
that's still a thing. That's weird.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No.
For those who aren't in on the know, or for those younger listeners as well, in the 80s it was really, in fact, it became kind of a problem according to the government. So what they would do is they would make a show designed to sell toys. In a way, they would say that, but the show was still, it still grabbed your attention as a kid. And I think eventually they
Yeah,
passed a
they were
law.
good shows.
Yeah, fantastic shows. I mean, yeah, there was some repeated animations and stuff, but it was it was a different time. And I still have nothing wrong at all with having an IP use its for its how I should say it, use its kind of place on TV or whatever to sell toys or to sell anything. There's nothing wrong with that if it's done in a heartfelt way. And
Yeah.
a lot of those 80s shows, even though they had a lot of shortcomings that by today's standards we could look at and kind of sneer at, but they did a really good job at doing that. It's not easy to do. So you had people telling you the comics weren't, or that you should have had a more like do the comics first and then like that kind of
Kind
thing.
of, yeah. It was more about TV and film. Just like action figure. The rule was action figures don't sell without TV or film.
I mean, I don't know
So,
where they're getting that from. But I mean, maybe they know something I don't. But I
or a
know
game.
what's that?
Or a game. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I guess it makes sense from the large numbers. Like the McFarlane toys or whatever. He's doing IPs and stuff like that. But I don't. A lot of the ones my favorite lines come from some little indie company off in China or like you. And yours are made in the USA, or I mean, you're in the USA, based in the USA, I should say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our company's in the USA,
Yeah.
but yeah, we would
So,
like to bring manufacturing here too, but that's a long-term goal.
well,
First, let's get this Kickstarter done.
yeah, and that's people you can see the prices on. Like for Dart is $24. Of course, you can find sales all the time. In case you don't have $24, hell, send me a message. I'll buy one of you a Dart. But that price, if you are an actual adult collector or toy fan like me, and I also make some and customize them, that's nothing. I mean, that's lunch, and you're getting a completely independent, brand new IP that has all this stuff in the box. So I tell people all the time that is a dirt cheap price. I thought yours would be
I
more like $30, $35, honestly, whenever I
I
saw it.
appreciate it. Should be. We were hoping that the supply we want to make up for it in volume, with more sales. So
Okay, so let's talk about the Kickstarter then, because that's why you're here. We really want to get this. This is the Wave 2. I've showed everybody the other characters, and of course, please go to Panda Money Toys and check it out. Just Google it; you'll see all of them. But this is the Wave 2 that it was hinted on the box. Is that correct?
that is correct. Yeah.
Okay.
We'd originally planned to release those fall 2020. And,
Oh, okay.
A little delay there.
I was gonna say, yeah, some stuff happened. Golly, that's crazy. I guess that would affect manufacturing and everything, wouldn't it?
It was the big deal was warehousing, that we were sitting on a product that was intended for conventions or comic book shops that
Oh
just
no,
weren't open. Yeah,
that is so sad. It makes me so angry.
it is.
All
You
these.
gotta plan this for all your listeners. I mean, you can't just flip a switch and get more toys over here. It takes, a few months to start up the machines and assemble
Well, and
them
also
all.
just the meeting other, the conventions. That's very. I used to be in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of
That was our
unfortunate.
marketing plan. Yeah.
Well, so this is the alternation. Now here, I've got to kind of call you out here because I went ahead and pledged for 2 of them, I think, for now.
Okay.
And now I'm sure I'll probably buy more later because they're so good. But these are larger figures, aren't they?
Alpha is Bomber's about the same as the Quilroy and Bart. And
Oh, okay, okay.
I'm sorry, did I say that backwards? Alpha's the big one. Bomber is the
Smaller
We
one.
call it Super Deluxe. So, yeah.
So again,
Deluxe.
the pricing here, it seems like it's still on par with the other ones, but you're getting a much larger, or at least what we like to say, a lot more plastic.
Yeah, you're getting more plastic. You're getting more. You're getting a nice box to. If you're a collector, you can display it in. If you want to open it and then put it back in the box, it's reusable. You're getting a comic, lots of accessories. I don't
Okay.
know. I try to throw in as much as we could, and we can do that because we don't pay licensing fees and licensing guarantees.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So
We
that's
kind of wanted to
yeah.
show. Yeah, we wanted to show people what you can get when you don't mess around with all that.
But
Those big numbers.
that's kind of a gutsy move because you're taking a gamble. But
Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
sure you plan for those. Like if it does well, we can do this. If it does do well, we can pull. I mean, all that stuff is part of running an independent toy company.
Yeah, I mean, we put our profit margins in with, and
Yeah.
and yeah, so we have that all planned out. We did not plan for 2020, of course.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, I
Wait
don't
a
know,
second.
if that answered your question.
What? Wait a second. I'm just noticing here. There's a diorama coming with one of these, or that's a
Yeah,
stretch goal.
the diorama is an add-on, so anybody who pledges you can buy any of the add-ons.
Well, I didn't see a diorama. Can I go back and add it on after I've done it
Yeah,
all?
absolutely. You
Okay.
should be able to edit your pledge anytime. The dioramas were originally intended for stores to display on a counter.
Oh, right.
But we've got extras of those, so why not give them to the fans?
And see, I was
that
going
are
to say
coming?
that I was going to ask you. You've got the first line, and that's what, 7 critters? 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right?
Six.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It confused me. I was thinking it was 7 forever. So when I had 6, and I did 6 videos or planned out 6 videos. I was like, am I missing one? But yeah, so it's 6. You got these 2 new ones you're talking about. That's your next wave too, and they're not only a new line, but they're also like what's his name here? The bigger Alpha is much larger, so you're kind of you're elevating the line. I was gonna say, what's next? You've got to be doing play sets, right? And I mean,
Vehicles and playsets is the plan for the next one,
oh
but we
man,
also have plenty more characters that some of them are introduced in the short stories and in the comics.
right?
Ready to go. We got concept art and a plan for the product. But the first things first, we want to make sure this Kickstarter goes off. So far, I mean, I think we're at around 5,000 right now.
Yeah.
That's all organic reach, and we're just gonna start. We're starting to advertise now. So
I think you'll make it. I think I check a lot of the coverage of the toy lines I'm interested in. I'll Google them, I'll YouTube them. Just like, oh, what's going on here? I'll typically, if I don't buy because it's part of an IP, an established IP necessarily. I'm not a big time like a big line collector. I buy something I think looks cool. And I remember seeing these and I think these look cool. And then I remember seeing, I want to say it was, what's his name? He does not a TMT. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles guy. I can't remember his name, but his channel, I think it was his, and he was playing with one. I was like, no, it was he has a name for his channel. His name.
Unparalleled.
No, I'll think of it when we're done here.
Okay.
I should give him a shout, but he's a lot larger than my channel. Anyway, and I remember thinking that looks cool, and so I grabbed it, and then I remember thinking, man, what is next for this kind of stuff? Because I saw the two on the box, and I thought, okay, those look cool. That's a good next step. But after that play set, so it's good to hear that you're thinking all this kind of stuff,
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, we probably spend too much time thinking about the future, not selling, not getting this Kickstarter.
Oh, what I was, the point, but you gotta, you want to get it going. The point, though, I was trying to make is that as I was Googling around and YouTubing, I didn't find a single video that did not like them, that didn't have a smile on their face. And it wasn't just because, oh, this reminds me of something from the 80s. It wasn't that. It was like they took something kind of that reminds me of something from the 80s and they made it with today's designs, articulation, the stuff that's important to people now.
I think that that's what the frustration that started this company, I guess, you always kind of want to find out, what's the market missing. And it really did, I harp on reboots so much, but that's the frustration I have. It's like artists today aren't making their own thing. They're just slapping their name on somebody else's name. It's like, here's my version of Star Wars. And no, I'm sure there's plenty of Star Wars fans out there that want to keep the sequels going and stuff. But when you think about something like Star Wars and George Lucas, he was making his own version of what he liked as a kid.
Yeah.
He was making Flash Gordon and, those Republic serial adventures when he made Indiana Jones, It was that exact same thing. It was like, I really liked those adventure stories as a kid, but I know how to sell it for today's audience is better than just remaking.
Well, yeah, in a way, he was. What you're doing is a similar concept, and I'm glad you said that because in a way, he's doing like a rock band would do a cover in a way, but instead, it's not that. It's not a redo of an original. It's something inspired by something he liked as a kid, or whatever. And I completely see that, but I think it can't be understated how, at least from my end, and I've seen a billion toy lines in my time, like you have. Yours really do stand out as an original thing. I mean, the box alone, I was going to ask you about this. Whenever you open the box, I noticed that it's very easy to kind of not break down, but flatten if you need to. And then you can put it away because you have a million boxes. Or if you want, it's very easy to pop back into space because the lids help reform the box shape. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, we have a blister insert rather than a blister pasted to the card.
Right, yeah.
So, and a lot of that was born out of, we thought we were going to be in stores, and, you want to stand out. So that was why the bright yellow and chartreuse was picked.
Oh, okay.
So because I looked at the rest of the toy aisle, and it was all blues and sort of reds, and yellow really popped.
Yeah.
And then the reason for the shape, besides being eye-catching, was that parents were telling us that I hate it when my kids lose accessories, or even kids were telling us I hate it when I use,
That
so
makes sense.
We wanted to kind of solve that problem, and
wow.
And you can reuse, you can keep the blister if you want. Otherwise, maybe get a sandwich bag. I don't know.
I'm so happy to hear that you talk so much to kids about it. One of the things I love about toys as an adult collector is that to me they are, like I was saying, they're an item. They're almost like an artifact, a holy artifact in a way. A toy. It's you can give that toy to a toy truck or something to almost anybody, and it's the same kind of. People have a reaction to it. They know it's a toy. It's a small version of and they smile. It's an artifact for good. If that doesn't sound too hokey. And
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and to a kid, you can have, some of the strongest memories you have in your life are from toys. And so I can imagine being a kid on the play test of one of these, and the guy's like, "Hey, what do you think of this toy line?" And these toys make a good impression. So I'm really glad to hear that you did. I'm sure a lot of toy lines do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but not independent.
They should, yeah, not independent. Well, that's kind of the other thing I wanted to. It was important to me to kind of get my ego out of it as much as I could, and I have my ego in it now because I obviously I invested in it and all that and believe in it. But when we first got started, I didn't want my sensibilities to sway kids, if that makes sense. I
Yeah, it
really,
does.
yeah. So like maybe I liked ninjas and samurai as a kid. Maybe kids today don't like that, you know? So
Yeah.
I didn't want to, yeah. So I wanted to get as much of that out of the equation as possible and just say like, well, what do kids today like, you know?
Wow. I think it's fantastic. So I wanted to ask, now that you've done this, and I don't know how successful you would consider it, but in my eyes, I think it's one of the most successful lines I've come across for a couple of years because it does what it was designed to do, be unique, a toy that reminds you of something cool from the 80s, but with today's sensibilities and technologies, it does all those things great. So, but now that you've gone through quite a bit of the ringer, including 2020, what do you think you've learned, or like what would you have done differently? You think if you had to kind of, or if you make a new line, for example?
I think if like I would give advice to somebody starting out like me, maybe would be to I guess, and it's hard to even say this because of the inventory is skewed because of all the lockdowns and stuff.
Oh,
But I would say start with a lower. I would have started with a lower quantity and then or took a loss, not a loss, but like a lower profit margin,
yeah,
because that way it would have given us a chance to kind of change things in the next production run, and just, you know, it'll save you in warehouse fee.
I see.
Unless you have some sort of guaranteed buy from like Walmart and they say, hey, I want 1,000,000 units, then
Right.
that was kind of what we were worried about at the time. It's like, well, what if we get a big order and we can't fill it? You know?
I was going to ask you about that as well, because I'm sure you're like me, and when you go to Target because your wife needs a new K-pop album, or or whatever,
Yeah, all the time.
I go to the toy aisle while she goes and looks at the albums, right? And I don't know why I go to the toy aisle in Target. It's the same seven line. Now they have started to have some collectible and stuff. I don't know if you guys have not been in the major stores yet, right?
We're on their online versions, so we're on Target.com
Okay.
and
Oh, okay.
Walmart.com.
Oh,
But
good. But have you? And I'm sure you know about this, but you know how companies buy out entire rows of aisles. There's a Lego
yeah, they
aisle.
have more clout than they have more clout than we have. So if Mattel comes in and says, "Hey, we want this aisle and that aisle," I think that maybe they have some leverage that we don't have. You
Right,
know?
but I'm wondering, is that something you would like to happen, or would that you'd be a victim of your own success at that point and be like, is it?
I don't know. I think it would be good if we could fulfill the obligation. As long as Target's not coming back and saying, "Hey, your toys aren't selling." That comes with some detriments.
Yeah.
Um, so, so yeah, as long as if the brand picked up enough to where we were popular enough to merit a spot in Target, absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
just want I
Yeah.
want because I know that's where a lot of kids shop. It's not so much that I like want to support this behemoth or whatever, but there's I do want to be able to reach the most kids
Of
possible.
course. Yeah. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that. And as a matter of fact, another one of my 12 line snap ships, which I'm sure you're familiar with, a
Yeah, they're awesome.
fantastic indie line, and they have they'll have one or two pegs in a Target, and I'm like, how can we get alternation in here? Like,
I think if I'm correct me, Snapships is made by I want to say Play Monster or
yes,
someone
actually, they're the Play Monsters. I thought they were the district. I don't know what more.
Oh, that might have been it. Then maybe Play Monster picked them up, and we've tried going that route too. So
I see.
Play Monster, hey, if you want to pick us, I reached out to anyway. I don't want to name names.
No, that's
That
fine.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think
Yeah,
that go ahead.
we've reached out to bigger established toy makers, and we would absolutely be open to that relationship if they want to use their clout and establishment and marketing team to take over on alternation.
I guess my point was too is that I don't ever go to Target expecting to see anything I want. I don't. The 12 lines I collect, other than snap ships, aren't really there, and I have to collect those 12 lines right now. I'm sure collectors out there know what I'm saying when I'm saying, because I only have so much room. I have a house. I can't fill the house and then be one of those collectors that has bins and bins of toys and never look at. I just don't. It's not what I want to do. So and so when I go to Target or Walmart, for example, I'm sure Walmart's even worse. I appreciate that they have some nice toys in there, but it's like the same toys every time. But I thought, man, Target seems like they're showing a little bit more of these indie lines or whatever, a little bit smaller or interesting toys like Gundam and stuff. And they would look good on the shelf. They would look really good on the shelf. So get that done, and we'll be happy. So.
Yeah. I noticed that I went the other day and like, where are all the action figures? They didn't have that many, and then I realized that they moved. They have a whole like collector's action figure section over by the electronics. My
Which I get. It's a little bit more of an adult collector section in a way, I guess. But I don't know about you, but I take my toys and stuff out of the box. I usually do it on camera now. I don't know. I just grab something I think looks cool, and then I learn. I don't, and so yours was so eye-catching. I imagine in a store as well, it would be just as eye-catching. Because the thing is you're also creating this, you're kind of taking a chance. You're creating this giant window where they can see the character all around. You know what I mean? It's really a neat, either somebody really likes it or they're like, I don't like it. So it's pretty chancy kind of design on the packaging,
Yeah, we did that on purpose because we knew we had so many characters that we had two characters in particular, Quilroy and Sabotage. They're cool. They looked great on the back too. It was like they looked good on the front and then in the back. And how can we show that to people? So we thought about putting them at like 3/4 angle and stuff, but at the end of the day, we ended up we did a top window and a front window. So
Dart's in there a little bit at an angle too because of his size.
Because he had to because of his size.
But it's cool. It makes him look like he's kind of running or an action pose too. So that's a fantastic. This would be great to see though for sure in that collectible section.
Yeah. And that was, that's kind of, I guess our brand confuses people a little bit because it does have like the detail of like a collectible, but we set out to do this for kids, and
you want people to take them out of the box.
Yeah, we want kids to take these out of the box, bang them together, shoot them at each other, all that.
And I think that,
and maybe they break them and you have to buy a new one. No, I'm kidding.
They're very sturdy toys though. You're not gonna break them. I was also surprised. Like when I got Sabotage was the first one I got. In fact, I think I emailed you about the custom I was doing of him.
Oh yeah, you did.
I was just like, this guy is heavy. Like his guns and all this little extra part are really, really heavy. So is that also an additional thing, if you don't mind me asking, some inside baseball thing when designing a toy with the guns and the depictions of, is it kind of like making a movie? You have to worry about maybe a rating or something, or?
We haven't. We've definitely heard politics from all sides, left, right, religious, non-religious. So my stance was always don't let that, like, kind of be sensible, use your own sort of, your own judgment, a good taste of what I would want my kids to be exposed to or not. But at the end of the day, you're an artist and you can't listen to every single critic. You have to kind of make your own choice about, and it made sense that, hey, these guys are in the military. They wouldn't be having just, baseball bats or something. I don't know.
Yeah, well, but even your toy design, I think, is kind of unique to the line as well. There are a lot of them not cartoony looking, but very unique looking toys or weapons that aren't like, they fit the character. Like El Rey, I'm looking at his little harpoon gun.
Yeah, we definitely took that into account. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please talk about how great my toys are.
Oh, hey, I could go all day. But anyway, what I want people to do is definitely go over the Kickstarter and stuff like that. Back it. You've seen. I haven't opened the last two of the line because like I said, I'm debating whether I'm going to keep them in the shelf in the box because the boxes do look good. But I'll probably go ahead and open them on camera and get a good look at them and then put them back in the box on the shelf.
I don't blame you. I'm a total keep it in the package collector myself.
Do you buy two?
If it's something I really love, I will buy two.
Wow. See, I don't do that. I don't do that. You know what I figure, man? And this is what I really like when I'm buying used toys from eBay, as I love buying used toys from eBay. They could be missing an arm. I'm not. If I like the fact that story has a toy, that toy has a story. At that point, it's actually been played with. And so for me, if I'm 47, I'm a grown ass man. If I take a toy out of a package and mess with it and put it, I'm working or something, I'm just messing with it while I'm doing work or whatever. It's such a joy to put it there. There's the story there. And after I'm gone, if somebody wants to keep it, and display it, they'll have a story there because there'll be a video and everything as well. So I don't do plus I would run out of money pretty quick because, I used to buy a lot more than now, but I'm trying to control that a bit, you know. But okay, well, all that's good. We want to do the Kickstarter for sure. We're gonna get that pledged up. I've pledged. Everybody else should pledge. I've got to go add the add-on though, the diorama. I didn't know you were doing that. I didn't even notice that. And that
Yeah, I've been trying to get the word out is that we're doing something kind of different with the reverse, with the Kickstarter add-ons, is that we did what's called a reverse auction. And I had all this leftover collectible stuff out, and I just don't know what it's worth. So I started the price high, and I'm going to gradually be lowering it over the course of the campaign.
That's cool.
So be sure to check back the campaign regularly. Those prices are, like, for the one-of-a-kind items, they're going to be dropping.
Now, when you're showing the Paint Masters, for example, for Alpha, is that just to show the prototype? Because I know you've sold or given away prototypes before, right? So you're not. Okay, was the Alpha going to be part of that? I didn't read it right here. Was it?
Alpha is up for auction. He's our most expensive one. So when you look at the prototype, you'll see that they're very, we went all out on, like, if we could make this toy have everything we want, here's what it would be.
Yeah.
And then when you talk to the factory about how much it would actually cost to make it, you have to, make reductions, or else, I didn't think a kid would want to, and a parent would want to buy $100 toy for their kid.
Yeah.
So we gradually pull out things like, okay, what's more important, this or that. So you'll see in Alpha, he's got a very detailed paint operation.
Oh yeah.
His animal DNA was supposed to be part blue ring octopus.
The poisonous ones, right?
Yeah, they're poisonous. They're bioluminescent, and they look really cool. So. We ended up having to take that out because it would have just cost, a fortune to add those paint operations.
Nice. And I didn't even mention that because in these prototypes here, you've seen a few wires hang down. A lot of them have lights and sound action. And I like that you didn't. Here's another thing. I like that each one of the characters doesn't each have. You remember, like, the ones when you were a kid, you would put the little thing in their chest and it was like a hologram, and every one of them had that. So what you ended up with was they all look the same. They're the same body type. You know what I mean? So what you've done is you've decided some will have lights and sound and action, and some will have just action and not so much. There's a variety there.
Yeah, we made it fit the character. So the porcupine has the projectile, the electric eel has lights. It makes sense.
And I talked about the porcupines, by the way. We'll probably be closing up here soon, but I talked about Quilroy's spines on my review when it shot out. I remember thinking, this is the ballsiest design I've seen to have a shooting quill toy that is you blunted them, don't get me wrong, but it still looks fantastic. But I thought, well, how did they get this okayed? Like, is this something, are parents cool with this stuff anymore?
Yeah, no, I mean, we actually had, if you look at Quilroy's quills, some of them are sharp. The ones that don't shoot are really sharp.
Yeah.
And the ones that do are kind of dulled and fatter. The original design did have a much sharper and much more narrow, and I think
that's pretty outlandish.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, the safety testing people said no, you gotta do this, and so we said okay, we'll do it. Yeah.
But the sharp ones, the smaller sharp ones, are rubberier, I believe, as well.
Yeah. They're softer plastic.
Yeah. So, but no, I thought, you know what, you're gonna go for it. You're gonna make something shoot out spines. And people are just so worried, but there's a ton of toys these days that have shooty things still, and it's like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, Marvel's done it plenty of times.
Yeah. So, but anyway, fantastic line. I'm so happy to hear that this Kickstarter got fired off, because I was like, I honest to God was waiting for that announcement. It's one of those that I've been waiting for, like kind of like a new movie comes out or something. Like, I was like, when's he gonna announce those two? I heard rumors of it, kind of murmurings here and there, probably just on Instagram or something. And then you put it up. I was like, dude.
If I could stress anything to your audience, is just that this is our kind of watershed moment, that we would like to continue the brand, and we just kind of want to see that there's public support for it before we invest any more into it. So that's kind of what the great thing about having a crowdfunder, or the ability to crowdfund. It lets you take it right to the market and give it an up or down vote.
Yeah, the crowdfunding seems to have done well for a lot of independent toys. I found so.
Yeah. So if again the website alternation-kickstarter.com, take you straight to it.
Cool. And that'll be linked in the description and all that stuff. Like, I would appreciate you coming on, man. I've been meaning to talk to you for a while. I think I've followed you now for Man, has it been 2 years since you released the first line? I don't know how long it's been.
It started in 2019, end of
Oh
2019.
my
So
gosh.
we're just coming
What
up
a,
on
what a
2 years.
time to launch a toy company.
Ugh, don't tell me about it. Yeah, I know.
Well,
And I'm a gregarious guy, if you can't tell. It was like I was all counting on these live events then. But anyway.
well, it looks like stuff is, well, I don't know now at this moment, but I'm in Texas, for example, and it was going great. And I've got all these concert tickets bought, and then now I'm going, I maybe have to cancel that again. I've got a flight booked in a month, and I probably have to cancel that. So, but here's hoping it clears up before too long, and you get these in the actual hands, or at least the convention stuff, hands of people shopping there, or just walking. I guess the pro conventions and stuff where distributors shop around and stuff like that. Because I think once they get them in their hands and talk to you and see all the lore and the comics, and it's a complete package. Like, it's just a really, really well done line. So,
Thank you very much.
yeah.
Well, I got to really compliment you on your. This has been a really great interview. I wish you a lot of success with your podcast.
Oh, thank you.
You're a great interviewer. Yeah.
I just need to decide whether it's who likes toys or who wants toys.
Who likes toys? Who wants toys? I don't know. I think both are good. It kind of wants toys, maybe.
Yeah, or some,
I want to give you both.
any other suggestion would be good too. So leave one in the comments. But I appreciate it. Anyway, I'm gonna go add that diorama now. I knew that you had add-ons, and I just kind of glanced at them. I didn't even think about it, and I meant to go back and. So that's good too. Good luck on that. I think it'll definitely make it. I mean, your previous line was really well received everywhere I saw it. So, but if you're out there and you have kids and you want to buy them, not just another remade GI Joe toy or another Transformer. I mean, nothing wrong with those toys. Don't get me wrong. Buy them something like this. I'm telling you, they're really sturdy. You can smash them together like he suggested, and they're not going to break.
Yeah, we wanted to make this the toy your kids are going to be nostalgic for when they're 30 or 40
Oh
or
wow,
whatever.
That's very moving actually. It's kind of nice.
Oh, thank you.
Pick up Dart first. So Dart he's my favorite. He's just he's so playable. Like, you just want to mess with him. Anyway, thanks for coming on. I'll be probably doing this about once a month. I'm looking for anybody else. I've got a couple other people I'm thinking of lined up. A couple independent developers, as well as people who are just collectors and just people to talk about toys they had as a kid or now. So if anybody wants to come on and has a good story, holler at me. And subscribe to the channel if you want. I don't care. I'm just in it for the fun. So if you want to, I like numbers that go up. It's always fun.
Have you, real quick, could I ask you, have you talked to Animal Warriors of the Kingdom?
No, I saw that earlier. Is that somebody you suggest checking out?
He's been, Jason over at Spiro, he's been really, he's been super kind helping us with the Kickstarter and had no reason to help us, so, and had a great, successful Kickstarter.
I've seen that around, I know it, and man, why are you going to get me to get some, spend
No,
some
I'm
more
just
money?
telling you to interview him, maybe.
No, I'm saying you're going to make me add a 13th line. Every time I talk to people, they're like, have you seen that? I'm like, oh my God, no. Somebody suggested Diaclones the other day, and I was like, oh my, $300 for those things. I was like, oh, but
I had to give him a shout out because he's just been so kind.
Oh, very, yeah, I'll go check him out for sure. I'll send him a message. He's got a YouTube and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Awesome.
sure. I can connect you.
I mean, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom would kind of go with you guys.
I think so. Maybe someday there'll be some crossover.
I was going to say crossover, man. That'd be awesome. All right, well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Bo.